Hi, I'm Zach.
I'm Zubair.
And welcome again to Harmony.
Welcome.
Thank you. How are you?
Thank you.
So, are you ready to continue?
Yeah.
Let's get right on in it. So we're still in the first word of Said Nursi's The Words.
Yeah.
Which is part of the Risale-i collection, just for those who have who want to follow. We haven't gotten far.
Yep.
We talked last time about brother and advice.
Two words.
Two words, basically,
Yeah.
in this. So let's, I think, read this paragraph from the beginning because it's a short paragraph.
Okay.
And then after we read it, we can discuss the next sentences or so.
Okay.
All right. So, brother, you wanted a few words of advice from me. So listen to a few truths included in 8 short stories, which, since you are a soldier, are in the form of comparisons of a military nature. I consider my own soul to need advice more than anyone, and at one time I addressed my soul at some length with 8 words, inspired by 8 verses of the Quran, from which I had benefited. Now I shall address my soul with these same words, but briefly and in the language of ordinary people. Whoever wishes may listen together with me.
Very friendly, right?
Friendly, warm,
Yeah.
but there's some things that struck my attention as I was reading it.
What is it?
A couple of words. One of them was short stories, few truths, soldier, military nature.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem so friendly.
Yeah.
It seems a little bit,
Yeah, kind of freaking, right?
Yeah, so maybe we should talk about those. But also the idea of I consider my own soul to need advice more than anyone.
So what's interesting about this?
These are all talking points that I think we should talk about
Okay.
either in this one or in the following ones.
Okay, let's begin with them.
Okay. So we start with, we finish the advice. So listen to a few truths included in 8 short stories, which, since you are a soldier, are in the form of comparisons of a military nature. So we have the idea of stories which are in comparisons.
What's special about comparisons?
Comparisons? Well, think about it. We said in the previous episodes that we were talking about an absolute truth. We were the addressees of revelation, which is absolute.
Okay.
And we, being limited beings, cannot understand, or shouldn't be able to really understand absolute truth. How
Let me think. Yeah. Absolutely.
There's a difference in natures.
Yeah.
So by definition of our nature, we shouldn't be able to understand. We can't understand absolute truth.
We can't.
So how can we take lessons from it? How can we understand of that meaning, from that meaning?
But you just said we cannot.
We can't understand it absolutely. But which
in absolute terms, but we can have a sense of it.
Yes, and we can infinitely learn more. Since it is absolute, our understanding will never be complete.
We become closer and closer and closer infinitely.
Yes, which means we always have something to learn.
Yep.
Which, if you look at it from the human perspective, I'm always wanting to learn something new. So that desire is there inside of me. So the fact that it is absolute truth that we are looking at, it is the only thing that can satisfy my human needs of wanting to continue to learn ad infinitum.
Wow.
That's the first thing. But
what about the comparison?
What about the comparison? That's how we're going to be able to start to realize, understand this absolute truth.
I didn't get it.
Because in a comparison, there's always more levels, deeper levels of understanding in it. When you watch a film, when you read a book, you watch it the first time, you get so much of a meaning from it.
Say so.
Second time, you understand more.
Say so.
Third time, you understand even more, etc., etc. The more you watch it, the more you are involved in it, the more you understand from it. But you never understand everything. You always realize something new every time you watch it.
Well, yeah.
Always.
That's correct.
So this is the same thing. That film, that movie, is a comparison of a meaning. It's presenting the author's, what's in his mind. He has an idea in his mind, and he's presenting it to us. He has a meaning that he's trying to show us. How can we understand what he means?
I truly didn't get the comparison part, but I understand the example.
Okay, so the movie itself is a comparison of the meaning in his mind. It represents...
Why didn't you use the word reflection, maybe?
A reflection, okay, maybe a better word.
Okay.
Okay, that's true. It's a reflection of what's in his mind. So it's a
I might compare the reflection with the mindset of the director.
Yes, but since I'm not the director, I can never truly fully understand what he meant. He's presenting it to me.
If he's absolute, then it's impossible.
Then I can learn. I can learn forever.
Yeah, I can go to it, approach to it, but never reach it.
Exactly. So it's that's how we have to look at revelation. That's how we have to look at the creation around us, the existence around us, in order for us to start to understand absolute truth.
So, what do you think the author has put the word comparison in here?
Why did he
what is trying to tell us?
I think he's trying to teach us a methodology.
That we are trying to reach or understand the absolute. This is the goal.
One that we can only understand it through comparison. But I also think it's the same thing in our everyday life, in existence. Going back to the film example, I can never truly understand what is in the mind of a director or a writer. I can't, because I'm not him. So if I want to understand anything, be it revelation in the form of what we call holy books, or be it the expression of any art, I can only understand it through comparisons. And I can always learn something more.
Okay.
So it's...
So let's make a list. What we are trying to understand here is the absoluteness. So it's pretty infinite. So it's kind of impossible.
We have to we have to start knowing that. Start by knowing that.
So it's a journey.
Yes.
It has a beginning point, but it has no end.
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Which satisfies my human need.
That's the third one. Okay, please.
Yeah, which satisfies my human need. We talked about that. And you're making a list. Continue.
That was the last one.
Okay.
At least what I found.
So this is a methodology not just to read what we consider holy books, but to read the existence around us.
Interesting. So what was the rest of the text?
The rest of the text talked about military nature, because you are a soldier.
So that makes the comparison easier.
Why?
Because he knows the terms.
Okay, so he's talking...
The author is going to use the terms that the listener is already know.
Exactly.
Does already know.
Yeah, it's like making a movie.
Yeah.
When you make a movie, you're going to use symbols that are relevant at this moment.
Yeah.
I think when we watch movies from 50, 60, 70 years ago, it's harder for us to understand.
Yeah, but
we can get some meaning from it, but because we don't understand the time frame, what those symbols meant to those people at that time, we get much less of a meaning. So the idea that it's in a military nature doesn't mean that it needs to be in a military nature. He put a condition. The author put a condition here.
Since you're a soldier.
Since you are a soldier. If you're not a soldier, it might not be as easy for you to understand.
But I'm not a soldier, so what about me?
You've gone through military training. This is written originally for Turkish people who had had to go through military training, military service, no matter what. It was so deep into the culture.
Yeah, kind of. We have seen, everybody's seen military at once.
Yes, and so this goes into another fact that every single explanation of the Quran or any holy book or whatever is time-bound.
What do you mean?
It's written for that audience. So to understand the absolute truth in a way, to explain the absolute truth in a way that time period can understand. Unlike the Quran, which is an absolute truth speaking to all people at all times, explanations of the Quran written based on the Quran have to be put into a time frame and are only applicable to that time period.
So do you mean that this text is special to me?
Yes, for this time period.
For this time period.
Yes.
And my colleagues.
Yes. Whereas a previous explanation, not to take away from it, but for us it's hard to understand.
Because it's not designed for me.
Exactly. It's not written in the mentality that I understand, that I was in to be able to understand that mentality fully. That doesn't mean I can't take any lessons from it. Of course, I can read something from it, but I might not be able to understand it. I won't be able to understand it the same way as somebody who lived back at that time.
Great. So why the author put them all in this text, in this introduction?
To show us the methodology of how he is going to present the rest of his collection.
And how to benefit from the text.
How to benefit from the text, and also how to benefit from not just reading this text, but the text in the book of the world and existence around us. This is a methodology that's not just limited to this book. It's a universal methodology.
So do you mean that I can make comparisons every time I look at the existence?
You have to.
Why?
You have to. If
one second. What do you mean that I have to?
You have to?
Yeah.
How about
I have, you said, let me clarify. You said I have to make comparisons every time I look at the universe, the existence.
How about this? Our time is about finished. This is a good question. Maybe we should think about it. Maybe our audience should think about this on their own a little bit. We can address this in the next one.
Okay.
Okay? So then, if there's anything else you want to say?
I wanted the answer of the question.
Well, then we have to think about it. Otherwise, if we don't think about it, then is it really a valuable answer for us?
Okay. So we are going to finish this episode, right?
Yeah, and we'll talk about it next week. Remember, we need to think about it in the meantime.
Okay.
So until then, think. Thank you very much. Hope to see you next time.
See you next time.